Hey teachers, you know what they say, a cluttered classroom can lead to a cluttered mind. So if you're feeling that clutter closing in on you or your classroom is feeling unorganized, let me help. Whether you're packing up for the summer or it's any other point in the school year, it's never too late to organize and get rid of things. I know that the hardest part is getting started and it can feel super overwhelming. So I have a realistic approach to walk you through decluttering and organizing your classroom. I know that you can do this. Let's dive in. All right, the first thing you'll want to do when you're cleaning and organizing your classroom to pack up for summer or for any other point in the school year is you'll want to check with the custodial staff or your school secretary to see if there is any on-site storage facilities. What I mean by this is that oftentimes campuses will have a room that's designated for storage. Not a lot of people know about it, and I think the custodial staff likes it that way. But you'll want to check with them and see if items that maybe you're only using once or twice throughout the school year can be boxed up and stored in these rooms to free up space in your classroom. You also want to check with your school secretary and see if there's any affiliation with any type of donation centers. Sometimes campuses work with specific churches, thrift stores, or even shelters to donate items that are not needed anymore. The thing you'll want to do is you'll want to check with your secretary to make sure if it's okay if you place items into the teacher's lounge or copy room. This is a great option, but you just want to make sure that when you place the items there, you leave them for a few days. If nobody picks them up, go back for those items and clear them away and donate or trash them. We don't want to clutter up our teacher's lounge or our copy room with the items that we no longer need. The last suggestion of where do our items go is teacher garage sale. What I mean by this is any items that you don't want or don't use anymore, you can place on the desks around your classroom, send out an email and invite teachers into your room to pick and choose, take whatever they'd like. This is a great option because the teachers come to you, they can grab items, and then if nobody wants them, you can go ahead and donate or toss them. So the first thing you'll want to do is figure out where your items can go. And from there, it'll make it a lot easier to declutter, purge, or get rid of things. Your next step in classroom organization is to get rid of things that aren't yours. We all know that when we move into a classroom, there's often a lot of things left behind. Whether the teacher moved to a different grade level, retired, or decided to try out a different career, there are things that will be left behind in the classroom that didn't belong to you, and you likely don't need them. Ever heard of Swedish death cleaning? Well, this is the idea that we don't pass our clutter on to our relatives. It's the same thing when it comes to teaching. You don't have to inherit someone's classroom clutter. You can let it go and get rid of it. I assure you, they are not coming back. So if you have files, old books, manipulatives that aren't even for your grade level that are left behind by another teacher, please feel free to donate, offer them to other teachers, or toss them. It's not yours to keep. Once you get rid of other people's clutter, it's time to move on to things that don't work or don't serve you anymore. What I'm talking about here is antiquated technology. When you move into a classroom, oftentimes you'll find a drawer, a cupboard, or some sort of bin that's filled with old technology. Whether it's headphones, old tablets that don't work, computers that haven't been touched in years and are dusty. Whatever the case may be, you want to take this antiquated technology and get rid of it. You need that space. So contact the IT person in your school district, and oftentimes you can pack these things up and send them via district mail. They're happy to take on these antiquated technologies and will know how to dispose of or recycle them appropriately. You do not have to keep old overhead projectors or computers that don't turn on. That is not your burden to carry, and frankly, you don't have the space for it. So let's ditch that old tech and get focused on the here and now. All right, now that you've gotten other people's clutter out of the way, you've ditched that antiquated technology, it's time to look for materials that are out of date. So if your state standards have changed and you have old materials that aren't serving those standards anymore, it's time to ditch them. Donate, give them to another teacher, or simply recycle them. You want to look at materials that aren't serving you anymore and aren't serving your students anymore. If they've been sitting on a shelf and haven't been touched all year long, They're likely not going to be used next year either. So take a good hard look at your materials, manipulatives, books, workbooks, anything that you have. And if it hasn't been used, it's probably time to let it go. There's one piece of decluttering that a lot of people don't think about or don't necessarily look at as a way to declutter, and that is the actual furniture in your classroom. Oftentimes, we don't get to pick any of the furniture in our classrooms. We show up and that's what we get. You're fighting for additional chairs or student desks or purchasing your own bookshelves or storage units. But I need you to take a good hard look at your classroom, the flow of things, and if your students can even move around. Sometimes as teachers, we just assume that because the furniture is in our classroom, it has to stay that way, and it doesn't. Talk to your custodial staff. They'll happily take those items out, or maybe another teacher is looking for a specific table or desk or chair type. You'll want to make sure that you're providing enough space for your students to move around the classroom while at the same time having enough space for them to do work, meet as groups, and meet with you in your small groups. So really take a look at the furniture in your classroom and know that you don't have to keep any of it. Only keep the stuff that's working for you. We started off getting rid of things that were inherited, things that were antiquated and not useful anymore, and things that were just not serving you in any way, shape, or form. Now it's time to get to the hard stuff, and that's your stuff. This might be things that you purchased, things that you've carried along with you for years from classroom to classroom, grade to grade. It's all important, but you have to look at it with a clear eye. You want to make sure that you're not wearing rose-colored glasses. Look at your items and think, how often do I use this? How much dust is sitting on them? You want to look at these items and think, do they meet the standards that I'm teaching now? If they don't, if they work for a different grade level, but you still want to keep them, let's pack them up and put them in storage and get them out of your classroom. You also want to look at your items and think, do I have all the pieces? Do I have all the pages? Do I have everything that I need to make this particular teaching tool work? And if you do, great. Nobody's telling you that you need to get rid of your stuff, but you really need to take a very, very close look at if it's serving you and if it's working in your classroom. If it is, amazing. Take your stuff and give it the prime storage real estate. Put those things out in front. Make sure you can easily access them, use them, and have them at your fingertips. Your stuff will help your students to learn even more throughout the year. I know that organizing your classroom can be extremely overwhelming and it can feel like an uphill battle. But my realistic steps can get you there. Believe me, I've done it multiple times. And I have found that once I have everything in its place and a place for everything, my classroom flows so much better. My students are more apt to help clean up because they know where things go. I'm actually using the materials that I have in my cupboards. I'm able to use them to lesson plan, to teach, and to give students an opportunity to have hands-on experiences. I'm upping my teacher game because I'm not worried about where things are or stressed when I walk into my classroom. It's a calm environment. And believe me, other people will notice too. When people walk into my classroom, they're always like, oh my gosh, it's so clean in here. It's so organized. Wow, you must stay late. It's like, no, I don't stay late at all. But what I do is I make sure that I don't have a bunch of extra stuff. I only have the stuff that we need. Now, I'm not telling you to get rid of everything. Keep the things that you're using. But remember, there are storage options. You don't have to have everything in your classroom right that second. And you can do this realistically by taking it step by step. I hope that this helps, and I hope that you can create that warm, inviting, and organized environment that you and your students so desperately need. Happy teaching!